Bitcoin blasting through $70,000 as if it was nothing, absolutely nothing, with the force of 5,000 crypto virgins collectively blowing their loads. That's apparently President Trump saying, if you like crypto, vote for me. Fair enough, if that's what it takes. Anyways, before we get into some more political nonsense, I do want to focus this video in on continuation targets for this current move. We have been preparing for basically Bitcoin moving up here into the end of May, basically. And with that said, it's time to follow up on some more of the more long-term models for Bitcoin to get price and time areas of interest as things do kind of evolve from here. Anyways, without further ado, we can just jump right into this one. Starting off with yet again another meta signal setup. Actually, again, you can get these setups for free for the first 14 days. If you follow the link in the description below, you can even get a nice little discount code there too, if you so desire to go ahead with the service. But it's a good way to just kind of get familiar with it and see if it's something that's, something that's up your alley or not. In this case, Ethereum had a pretty powerful daily signal fire off, it looks like about 4 or 5 days ago. And looks like target 1 and target 2 have been met. Target 3 actually a little bit above 4,000 in this case, but that does have, I believe, in the 30% of probabilities to play out. But those first two ones played out rather quickly, and just another example of, in this case, one of them working. I'll also give you an example of one of them actually not working. In this case, we can go over here to nameless shitcoin ENJ, or what's the next one? Rune. Actually, no, this one did work out, and this one did work out as well. Hold on. I was looking for a loser. Where's my losers? Well, I haven't found a loser on this one, but I'm sure that there was ones coming up to this current move. And with that in mind, you can see that a lot of the times whenever this thing does fire off, it's a good probabilistic setup. And if you do have your own sort of TA knowledge, then you can probably figure out maybe a better way to position around these sort of things. Anyways, again, that is freely available to you for the first 14 days. And we can now go into the actual setups of the day. So where do I want to start this one off of? Let's start it off here. For whatever reason, it looks like my trading view is not loading properly. So you know what? We'll just go to this view right here. So this is a daily setup that we've referenced a few times over the past few months. The most recent one that did fire off in March did fail, of course, as we went over about a month ago. But it has fired off yet again, as we spoke about a few weeks ago, at 58,300 and was active ever since then, with the stop loss basically at 53,350. Now, with that in mind, this particular setup throughout the full history of Bitcoin, if I can actually bring it up right here, has fired off 64 times on the daily time frame, so a rather high time frame for Bitcoin. And with that, it has had a just under 33% probability to close profitably, despite that relatively low hit rate. It has been massively profitable. That is because, it does have decent risk management, actually using volatility to manage risk in this case. Anyways, going on from there, because this one has fired off, I believe it was about 3 weeks ago. Let's just double check on that. Yeah, 20 days ago, so just about 3 weeks. It is relevant to be looking at the performance summary, which if we go into the details right here, and I remove my face for a moment, you can see that the average amount of time taken in the winning trades was 58 bars. So every bar being 1 day does mean 58 days on average. And the average amount of bars in losing trades was 12, or is 12. So this one already, going well past the average amount of bars in losing trades does imply that it's more and more likely to be on the winner side. And what's very interesting to me right here is that the average winning trade prints about 41.25%. So I'd say that's not bad. From the entry, and I'll explain why this is even more important and more relevant in a moment here. And if you watched yesterday's video, you probably know where I'm going with this, but from the entry, 40% to the upside would put Bitcoin where? That'd put Bitcoin just above $80,000. And again, we are looking at an average of 58 days, or basically 2 months from that entry, which would be, would give us kind of a time frame closer to actually end of June, if it does play out in that fashion. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to take that long, but on average, we do expect these signals to take around that long. Now, this setup can be essentially viewed in conjunction with our major setup over here, the 5-day volatility versus stochastic momentum setup that we spoke about on yesterday's video, and I believe a few videos prior than that. We've seen many of these fire off in the past year, and all of the upside ones have actually worked out. It doesn't mean that they're always going to work out like that, but so far so good. At some point there will definitely be a failure. But as of right now, extreme lows on volatility, and it is starting to expand alongside the 5-day stochastic oscillator position to the upside, as we spoke about yesterday. As long as Bitcoin's above basically $66,000, well, the average move on this particular setup is about 40% as well, taking just over a month on average. So this one obviously fired after the one that we just spoke about, this particular setup. So it'll probably be confirmed basically here. And so if we were to project, 40% to the upside, that would give us a range, maybe high somewhere around low 90s. And again, about a little bit more than a month out would put us where? Yeah, actually around mid to end of June as well. So we have two things now from completely different angles, by the way, completely different models showing a probabilistic move, probably somewhere between 80 to 90%, 80 to $90,000. End of June, mid to end of June. So fair enough. And basically, as long as Bitcoin is above $66,000, I do look at that as relevant. It doesn't mean that it's destined to play out. Of course, many other things can happen, as if you've been around the markets for long enough, but at the end of the day, when it comes to trading, you pick your risk based off your risk tolerance, and then you roll with it. So just kind of showing some higher term time frame models here again, because I know I'll get questions about this particular script that allows you to back test whatever setups that you want is available under the Krown Quant automation services. If you happen to wait just a week or a little bit less than a week, we're going to be having a sale as well, so you can get it for a little bit less. But yeah, anyways, moving on from there, let me just bring back up my notes over here. Okay, boom, we got that. Both of those setups related. Yes, okay, good. Now, oh man, I get to present a new thing to you as well, which I'm very excited about. This is Caretaker's new baby, the HPOS, or Historical Price Action Statistics, which I'm really, really excited about. We've been working on this in the background for a very long time now. Caretaker, being one of my master coders, he's just done some magic here. Anyways, it's actually gonna have even more functionality than this. This is in fact the older version, but it was the only one that kind of fit on my screen for right now. As we kind of reformulate things, which you don't give a fuck about. What's more important is that we have more accurate statistics as far as daily returns go, and we even have more just generalized statistics on top of these as well. We'll offer this up at some point, but not just yet. Anyways, because today is Tuesday, we should know that Tuesday, in terms of closing positively versus negatively, is a little bit more likely to close positively. And more importantly, I want to be looking at the average gain versus average loss here and coming up with a daily range for Tuesday. The average gain on Tuesdays is just under 2%, and the average loss on Tuesdays is basically just around 1 3/4%. So let's come up with a range as far as today goes. Just kind of zero in on a price action right here. I'll use this chart. To the downside, what would that look like? $70,000 average range versus to the upside about just under $73,000. So, Bitcoin's probably more poised to retest highs from here than not. Kind of have to echo the statements that I've been having on yesterday's video and many videos prior to that as well, that, if you are bullish on this market, thinking that the low is already in, then it's very likely up only. That's actually going to be done. Obviously, it's up only if the low is already in. But my point is that if you're bullish, I would not be expecting, if Bitcoin were to come back down, especially below $66,000 at this point, I'd look at that as a very, very bad signal. If Bitcoin comes back down below $60,000 even, very obviously bad signal. Basically what I'm trying to say is that if you're bullish on Bitcoin, you're expecting trend sideways and up from here into end of month. And it's also happening, this rally beginning basically around the middle of May. Should be also forecasted as well. I'm not saying that to toot my own horn here. It's just following up on several of these models which take a long time to come to fruition. I mean, just naturally. So anyways, if you've been on this channel for a while, you already know. Cool. All right. So we've gone through that. One last thing that I'll bring up from the past was this model right here, the weekly stochastic oscillator on CME. Basically, anytime that we've seen it come from the bullish critical zone just down below that critical zone, we have actually seen more often than not, I believe 6 out of 7 times throughout the full history of CME, a major low for price action, as I've highlighted all right here. The only one that I'm actually missing is one of the failures, which is right here. So let's see, actually that'd be 2 failures. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so 7 out of 9 have marked off major lows. And of course, we saw this fire off yet again right here. And that was more or less around the low as of right now. So that, that model seemingly working as well. So I just looking at all these different things, it's like we have multiple things coming from multiple different angles, completely different calculations and statistics and whatnot. And, they're all kind of saying the same thing. So yeah, still interesting to me because it does feel like this market is, it's not like super basement interest right now, but it's certainly not exuberant irrationality just yet as well. I'll kind of reiterate my overall thoughts on this market. Just in general, it's like, look, I think things are going to rally from here. I think that things are going to generally be sideways and up, probably until at least Q4 of this year. I think around Q4, maybe a little bit after Q4 of this year into early 2025, we see a major top and things get very, very boring for a long time. Until then, to me, it looks like we're in one of those fun zones for Bitcoin and in the cryptocurrency landscape in general, similar to what you saw in 2021, similar to what you saw in 2017, similar to what you saw in 2013 as well, if you were around during that time. I actually was not, but it seems like we're entering into one of those phases here and things are happening generally a little bit faster than what people would probably be looking for on the general 4-year cycle. So fair enough. At the end of the day, price does what price wants. But it would kind of correlate well with the election cycle here too. Anyways, last thing here, Bitcoin daily CME on the HPDR bands. This is in trending motion as long as Bitcoin's closing above basically $68,000 for the daily, playing between current range high of 73,450 basically to the downside 70,000 even almost. So $70,000 actually should be short term a bouncy region of Bitcoin. We're going to get down around there, be looking for Bitcoin to likely try for a continuation move from here. Weekly is also currently well above the median. It's a long week left to go on CME, another 3.5 days, but assuming that Bitcoin closed the week out at above $69,000, the top side of even the 38.2 level right here is in the low 80s, which correlates with one of our presumed targets from the earlier setup. So it doesn't mean that it has to happen next week. In fact, very likely unlikely happens next week, but over the next month and a half here, kind of just generally be looking for that. And you see the setup on the oscillators as well. HPDRO taking back into positive territory after more or less a resetting here on very low volatility. Volatility being low means that, if it does start to expand from here, I mean, that's an upside setup. But it can take some time, obviously. So, just be aware of where the big pivots are and how they're kind of shifting up. So as we've gone through this, shifted up from 61,000 to 63,000, then 66. Now on the weekly, it's 69. And just kind of following these things as they go on through is what we're going to be doing here. So yeah, good place for me to say that if you do find this content valuable, then please do consider subscribing or don't. Get the fuck off this channel. Kidding. All right. It's too long here and it's too hot here as well. And I'm saying a bunch of bullshit. So on that note, I'm going to wish you the best. Take care. Much love and fuck you and see you tomorrow.